Hello folks, this is Sullla once again, giving you another video for League of Legends, this one featuring Nasus. This is taken from a draft pick normal mode game with a full pre-made team of 5, so I am playing as Nasus in this game. Alongside me is Speaker playing as Skarner, Yaye playing as Katarina, Terra Incognita playing as Ashe, and Cole playing as Sona. Then we're matched up on the bottom side of the screen against Udyr, Yorick, Xerath, Graves, and Soraka. So two teams on either side coming out right there. So this is going to be another video where I talk a little bit about Nasus and go through and talk partly about some of the changes that have come to Nasus since the rework to Masteries and rework to Summoner spells. And then also it's going to be talking about counterpicking a lane, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on that as we go through. So people who follow my channel might have seen that I have done a couple of videos for Nasus before. I put one up, I believe, on the Button Mashers channel where I talked about the Nasus build that was first initially put up by Hype and then used by SkyArt in one of the tournament games. So where I was basically taking this Nasus build and trying to show it off because I thought it was really strong, a build that focuses on maximizing cooldown reduction and then getting lots of last hits on his siphoning strike. So I did do a video before, but they actually had this really interesting game with Nasus, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about him. So let me talk first about some of the mastery changes because of the big rework to Masteries just a little bit before. Prior to the Mastery rework, you wanted to go, what was it? You wanted to go 0921 on Nasus. You wanted to get the utility Masteries and you wanted to get Strength of Spirit in the defensive tree. Obviously, that's all different nowadays. Don't want to do that anymore. So what I've been doing since then with Nasus, now with the new Masteries, is going 9210. So that's very different, but basically taking all the good stuff in the defensive tree, getting that cooldown reduction per level that's down at the bottom of the tree, getting the reduced damage, getting the extra movement speed when he's above 70% health. So there it is. See the little plus 10? Give me a little extra movement speed. All really good stuff on Nasus because of his susceptibility to kiting. And then also, very critically, in the offensive tree with your 9 points, extra armor penetration. So I'm going to highlight it here. I have red runes. I have red armor penetration runes, and then the extra 10% on the offensive tree. Really useful because almost all of Nasus's damage is physical. Not 100%, but mostly physical. Anyway, so that's a little bit about the new Masteries. I definitely recommend going 9210 with him. There's not much in utility tree that he wants anymore. Now here, Yaye and I are trying to help Speaker get started. Speaker is jungling Skarner over here in the jungle, but look, here comes the enemy team, and actually all 5 of them are here, and they're going to try to come in and try to get a kill here early on. So Speaker needs to get out of here. Speaker in some trouble. He's actually going to use his flash right there away from Udyr. Udyr, who actually started with Bear Stance there. Interesting. So they are actually going to steal that blue. However, the problem with that is they sent all 5 to our blue, and they didn't get a kill, so their bottom lane is going to be very, very behind since Cole's Sona and Terra Incognita's Ashe are just sitting down here farming, so they're going to be very, very far behind in that bottom lane, and that actually would prove to be important as this game goes on. Okay, so top lane. Now, I mentioned in the video's title that this was about counterpicking a lane, so let me talk a little bit about that. When we were in the Champion Select, this was normal draft pick mode, so we're able to see what the other team picks when we're doing our picks. We saw right away, I believe we first picked Skarner for Speaker, and then our next pick was, we saw their team then had the next 2 picks, and we saw them take Udyr and Yorick. So as soon as they took Yorick, I said, you know what? Why don't I try to take Nasus and play him in this game? Now, the reason for that was in some of the most recent League of Legends big tournament, the Intel Extreme Masters in Providence, Rhode Island, there was a game, one of the games that I watched. One of the teams took Yorick and the other team counterpicked Nasus against that, and when we were watching that game, my initial reaction was, oh, you know what, Nasus is probably going to lose because he's more of a late game champ. I can't imagine he's going to do well against Yorick. But we watched that game, and as it turned out, Nasus actually destroyed that matchup. Nasus actually just beat Yorick really hard, so I watched it and I was like, wow, actually, you know what, maybe Nasus actually does really well against Yorick, and I just didn't know that. So I saw that. It looks like Nasus is in fact actually a pretty good counterpick to Yorick. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about why that is as we go through the match. So if you've been watching, you might have noticed that Yorick is spamming his ghouls on me, trying to do a lot of damage. So in order to try to counter that, I have my rune setup for Nasus, extra armor on runes, then I get extra armor from the defensive tree, and then I also started cloth, potion, and 5 health pots. So I have a lot of armor, 57 armor here, to deal with Yorick's ghoul spam. So Yorick can spam his ghouls, but the one weakness of Yorick, he does a lot of damage early game, but one of his weaknesses is is he will push the lane, because when he's spamming those ghouls, they're going to push the lane, and he's going to push to tower, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want him to do. I want him to push to my tower. So look at this. I can just sit here in perfect safety and farm these minions, and there's really not a lot that Yorick can do to me while I'm sitting here at my tower. So I just want him to push to my tower, sit here, drink my health potions. You might have noticed I've already gone through 3 health potions, which is quite a bit. That's 600 health back. But, you know, no problem. Just going to sit there, let him push me to my tower. Just let him keep pushing the lane with these ghouls, and just drink my health potions as needed, you know, and just sit here and be okay. So a couple of other things that Nasus has that allows him to do pretty well against Yorick. First of all, he is tanky, like I said. If you have the right rune setup and you start with cloth armor, you end up with a lot of armor in the lane to start out. So he can just hit me with these ghouls, and it's not that big of a deal. Secondly, I have Nasus's passive, which gives him innate lifesteal. So 15% bonus, 14% bonus lifesteal. It's almost like starting with what is it, with a vampiric scepter. I think it's roughly like starting with a vampiric scepter just from the start of the game for free. So you know, every time that I hit these ghouls, I do lifesteal off of them. I do get a little bit of health back every time I hit them, so that helps out quite a bit. Anyway, we'll get back to that in a minute, but here comes Speaker on a gank, so we're going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to use my Wither on Yorick right there, and we're going to try to chase him down, but he is going to manage to get away. Just not enough damage right there in order to chase him down. So we are going to force him to back off there, and Speaker's going to help me out just by relieving a little bit of pressure on my lane. So anyway, I mentioned about how it has the innate lifesteal. I also have my Siphoning Strike, and I do lifesteal when I do my Siphoning Strike, so watch when I hit one of these guys. Watch the life bar down here. There we go. Got about 30 life back when I use that Siphoning Strike. So I can just, like I said, when Yorick pushes my lane, which he will do because he is spamming his ghouls, and that's what Yorick needs to do. When he spams his ghouls, I'm just going to go back to my tower, just going to last hit there. Just play defensively and keep charging up this Siphoning Strike. So I don't really have a lot of last hits yet. I only have, let's see, 48 divided by 3 is... math. I think it's 16. Yeah, I think it's 16 last hits so far, so that's not a whole lot, but still doing okay. Now, on my first trip back, I'm going to grab a Philosopher's Stone. I need the Philo Stone for the mana regen and the health regen, both going to be really, really useful. And, of course, the passive doesn't hurt, and then I'm going to get more health potions as well, and just continue walking back to the lane. I also do have teleport, so if I need it back for mana, if I need an emergency back for health and mana, I can do that. And then I also have the teleport, so I can jump into fights later on elsewhere to help out my team. So while we have a minute here, let's try to check out. This is one of the matchups I thought wasn't going to go real well, was Yaye as Katarina in mid against Xerath. But as it turned out, Yaye was actually doing pretty well. He's actually pretty far ahead. Look, 28 minion kills to 16, so I'm a little surprised by that, but he was doing real well. And then we were worried about Graves being able to dominate Ashe, because Graves is a much stronger laner than Ashe. However, Graves was more or less going even with Ashe in bottom lane, so that was helping us out quite a bit, the fact that Terra Incognita's Ashe wasn't losing badly down there. Okay, anyway, so now back in lane, and again, I just want to sit here and farm up my Q as much as possible. Want to try to get these last hits, and I actually missed one there. See, you don't ever really want your Siphoning Strike to be off of cooldown. You want it to be on cooldown permanently, so you can just keep charging up last hits. Basically how you want things to be. As we have actually a First Blood coming in there, a double kill in mid, as Yaye, our Katarina player, and their Xerath player both dying simultaneously. Anyway, but right here, look where I am. I'm right back at my tower. This is where I want to be. I want to be getting last hits here, although I'm not doing a great job. And there, I don't get a last hit with my Siphoning Strike. So that was actually not too well done there. But this is exactly where I want to be. I'm totally safe here. I'm not in any danger. I can't get ganked by their jungler. I can just charge up my last hits here. And Yorick and his early game presence doesn't really matter all that much at all here, because I can just sit here in safety and keep farming. Now, while that was going on, notice that Yorick disappeared. We didn't know where he was. And look, Yorick is actually right here, and he's taken our blue buff. And Speaker was not a happy customer when he saw that. He was actually very unhappy when Yorick came in and took his blue. So kudos to that Yorick player for making a nice play there. And, you know, seeing that he couldn't really do anything to harass me in lane, just going and taking our blue, because that set back Speaker quite a bit. And like I said, he was not a particularly happy Scorpion when he saw that going on. So anyway, I've just been farming. Let's see, Siphoning Strike now up to 75, so that's 25 last hits thus far. And there we go, there's number 26. However, now I'm going to have to deal with a Yorick. His first item was Tear the Goddess. He grabbed the Tear. He started with a Meki Pendant and 2 health pots, and he's built that into a Tear. So he is going for a Manamune, which is pretty standard on Yorick. And now that he has that blue buff, he is going to be spamming. So Tear and blue buff, he just has like crazy mana regen, and he is going to be spamming those ghouls like crazy. So I see this, and I'm like, okay, I need to itemize against this? I already have the cloth armor. Let's go for Ninja Tabby. It's an item I don't build that often, especially on Nasus, but I needed some kind of boots, and I was like, let's just grab this. I'll have the armor, I'll have the dodge, and this is going to help me out against Yorick up here in this lane. So let's just keep the focus on here and watch what happens when Yorick comes out here. So he has blue buff, he has infinite mana, he's going to be spamming these ghouls, and we'll just have to see how well he does against me. Now, one of the other things about Nasus that causes him to counter Yorick pretty well is he can not only lifesteal off of the ghouls, he can charge up his siphoning strike on the ghouls as well. If you last hit a ghoul with your siphoning strike, you get the bonus damage. So I would actually be doing this quite a bit throughout this game. One of my problems actually was trying to figure out which ones were normal minions and which ones were his ghouls. It actually is a little tough to tell. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit just so you can see. It's actually kind of tough to tell which ones are the ghouls and which ones are the minions. So like right there, I just got an extra 3 damage from last hitting that ghoul. Meanwhile, there's a team fight over here, so let's keep the focus over here for the moment. Big fight going on over here. Yaye was able to score a kill along with Speaker a second ago, and it looks like their team is going to back out. I asked if they wanted me to teleport in here. There they go. Yaye gets another kill. There's a Sona ult coming in from Cole, and let's see if they can manage to finish off any other kills here. Doesn't look like it. I asked if they wanted me to teleport in, but I didn't really want to use my teleport there, because if I did jump into that fight, then Yorick would have gotten top lane, and I didn't want to lose top. So this was really quite fun for me during the game. Like, Yorick is just spamming on me constantly with his ghouls. Like, the second it comes off of cooldown, he's got another ghoul coming in to try to deal damage to me. But I have so much lifesteal, and I have so much sustain between my Philosopher's Stone and my health potions. There's really nothing he can do. He's just spamming the ghouls, and they're doing literally nothing to me as I sit here under the tower, continuing the last hit, continuing to charge up my siphoning strike, and he can just sit there and spam on ghouls all day. So he has actually gone through an entire blue buff's worth of mana, and he hasn't done anything to me whatsoever. He forced me to drink 1 health potion. Yes, 1 health pot, and that's it. And I have not taken any other damage. The only thing that would affect me at this point is running out of mana, because I've been using my siphoning strike so much. See, up to plus 120 damage now, so we're up to 40 last hits here. So, I mean, Yorick doing what he's supposed to do. He is charging up his Tear of the Goddess, so he will get extra damage later on when he turns that into a Manamune, but just completely unable to harass me, and that's what makes Yorick so strong, his early game harass. You know, he just spams you with ghouls, and you take so much damage that you're not able to sit in lane, but it's completely and utterly ineffective against Nasus, because this is just such a strong counter. So yeah, apparently Nasus, a great counter pick to Yorick, so further evidence of this. And for me, this was really quite neat, because to see something on stream and then to be able to, you know, learn from that and then be able to do it in game, that was really rewarding to just say, hey, we saw this in a tournament, it looked like it would be a good matchup, so let's try it out. And as it turns out, yeah, it's actually working, you know, brilliantly in this game. As I just sit at my tower, I've never been ganked once the whole game. Now notice, again, I haven't bought any wards. I've had no ward coverage here the whole game, but that's because I've just been back at my tower the whole time, so I haven't really needed a ward. And as far as Nasus goes, you can't let Nasus sit in free farm in top lane. He's going to get too strong. Every time I keep getting those last hits, now up to plus 150, so every time I keep doing that, more damage for later in the game. And this is exactly what you don't want to do. You don't want Nasus to be sitting up in top lane, just farming on his Q over and over again. Now, the one downside is I haven't been able to get any cooldown reduction items. If I had gotten any cooldown reduction items, then I would be in great shape, but unfortunately didn't have the gold to do that. I did need the Philosopher's Stone, otherwise I'd run out of mana. I don't have any mana regen on this build, so I did need that. And meanwhile, right there, another exchange in middle lane. Yaye is able to get a kill on Udyr, but then Xerath locusts up and finishes him off with that great range. So like I said, would have liked cooldown reduction, but I absolutely had to have the Philosopher's Stone, or else I'd run out of mana. You can see I'm actually out of mana right now. I'm just waiting to go back because I want to pick up a Glacial Shroud, and I don't have enough gold for it just yet. So waiting on that, and you know, no mana here. Notice also I haven't really tried to harass Yorick at all at any point in time. Haven't made any attempt to try to kill him. I just want to play defensively and charge up my siphoning strike here early in the lane. Don't really think it would be that effective, to be perfectly honest, and I just don't have the mana to waste, you know, trying to hit Yorick. It's just not going to be that effective right now. So like I said, do need the Philosopher's Stone for sustain. I needed the health pots. If you noticed early in the laning phase, I did drink like 3 or 4 health pots, and I needed that early on before I started to charge up my Siphoning Strike and get more lifesteal to give me that sustain. And then the dodge boots. The dodge boots have really helped me out, giving me the extra armor, and I have dodged quite a few attacks. Dodge going to be taken out of the game in the next couple of patches, so don't know what I would have done on that situation. But in any case, now I'm finally going to go back and going to recall and going to go pick up my next item. So I already did mention this, but if you're watching this video along with me, why Glacial Shroud? Why is that such a good item? Well, number one, more armor, more item, really good. We have another kill going on down here in bottom lane. Yeah, I've kept the focus on top lane a lot, but that's because I really did want to focus on this matchup. Anyway, though, going to keep an focus on right here. Notice that I have picked up the Glacial Shroud right there, and I was like, hey, give me a ward, and I'll jump into this fight. So here we go. Speaker going to toss down a ward, and here I come in on my teleport here, finally joining the rest of the team. So right there, I'm going to use my Siphon Strike on Udyr, and now I'm going to pop my ult, and we're going to dive them under the tower there. Spirit Fire right there, and right there, Yagi's going to get the kill, and then he's actually going to get the double on Soraka. Meanwhile, now Xerath is coming to the fight, and so going to come right back in here, underneath here. Let's see, right there is the Siphoning Strike, and I'm actually going to finish off the kill there. So 3 kills in bottom lane during that fight, and just able to do a lot of damage with my Siphoning Strike, which hits for a bonus 200 damage. Now, while that's going on, Yorick made a nice move. He just stayed in top lane. He continued pushing on this tower, so that was a nice play by him. He couldn't get to that fight, so he just continued pressing. However, we are going to get this tower in bottom lane, so 3 kills and a tower in bottom lane is going to be traded for just a tower in top lane, and that comes out way ahead of us. Now, I'm going to make a mistake right here. Is Yorick continues to go after our tower. Oh, and we're actually even going to score another kill down there. I forgot about that one. Notice how Yorick is taking tower shots because he wants to finish this off. He's taking all this damage. All I have to do is pop Ghost and I can kill him. And I wanted to pop Ghost here, but for some reason I thought I used it and I didn't. Like right there, he's actually going to pop his Ghost. Yorick did take Ghost on his summoners right there. But for some reason I thought I used my Ghost in that fight and I didn't. I think it's because it was on the F hotkey where I normally have Flash. And for whatever reason, I thought I used my Ghost, but I didn't. However, that would have been an easy kill. All I had to do was pop Ghost, and he was dead. All I had to do was pop Ghost, run up to him, use Wither, and just, hit him with my Siphon Strike a couple times, and he would have died. So that was a mistake on my part. That was an easy free kill that I let get away there. Oh, and the other thing is I picked up double buff when I killed Xerath, so I had red buff too. So there was no way that he would have gotten away from me if I had just bothered to chase him down. So a mistake on my part there, something that I didn't really notice until I went back and looked at the replay. Anyway, Udyr has come up to try to lane against me, but no offense, Udyr, you cannot lane against me at this point. I'm way too strong. Look at this. I just run up and Siphon Strike, and it takes like 20% of his health. And again, another mistake by me. All I have to do is just dive him under the tower and use my Ghost, and he would die. And for some reason, I don't kill him again, and I don't know why I didn't do that. So that's 2 kills I could have gotten easily in this top lane. Again, remember, I still have the Lizard buff, so there's no way he can escape from me if I use my Wither and use my Ghost. But for whatever reason, I don't do it. Again, I was thinking that I had used Ghost, even though I hadn't. Like, look at this. Udyr's coming back in. All I have to do is kill him. Run up, Wither him, Spirit Fire, Ultimate, and he's dead. And yet, for some reason, I don't know why I don't do that here. Even though I could kill him really, really easily. But I don't do it for whatever reason, and I just take down the tower. So that's still a nice play, but it's a waste not to get that kill when I could have had at least 1 kill and probably a double kill very easily. So again, don't know what I was thinking there. Just not really thinking. Not thinking, I guess, is sort of the easiest answer there. But I could have had at least 1 kill and probably 2 kills there very easily. So anyway, now that I have the Glacial Shroud, now that I have some levels, I'm getting extra cooldown reduction with each level. Let's check this out. Now up to 20%, so not, still nowhere close to maxed out, but certainly much better. So now I'm able to charge up my Siphoning Strike much faster. So now it's up to plus 250, and it's starting to get to the point where I deal a lot of damage, like really a lot of damage with that Siphoning Strike. There we go. There's another last hit. So again, just going to sit here in top lane, continue to farm, and it looks like Yorick's back, because here comes his ghoul spam. But again, remember, I can last hit these ghouls as well, and now I've gotten to the point where I'm just stronger than Yorick, and he can't hurt me anymore. 144 armor means his ghouls don't damage me at all, and I have a ton of lifesteal. So if he wants to, basically, I just want to last hit Just want to last hit these ghouls as much as possible. There we go. So continue last hitting the minions, continue last hitting the ghouls, and then anytime that I can't last hit a minion or a ghoul, I want to hit Yorick myself. Now he has a ton of sustain as well. Notice how he's healing as well when he last hits stuff. So probably not going to be able to kill him, but I can definitely out trade him at this point, and he's just not scary. The other thing is, even with his mana immune, he's running out of mana quite quickly. Let's see if we can get the mana bar there. See, notice how he's almost run himself out of mana already? So that's not the greatest sight on him. He just can't sustain as long as I can. I deal more damage than him. I out-sustain him. He just can't lane against me anymore. However, Udyr are going to come up here, and Udyr has red buff, which is what causes the problem here. If he didn't have red buff, I could actually probably turn and fight these guys. But with the red, I'm not really going to bother. So I'm just going to pop my ult and ghost out of here. And, you know, maybe I could get a kill there, 1v2, but it's not worth it. So I'm just going to back off here. And they're pushing my lane. So I'm actually going to be safe to turn and just, you know, go back to farming here in a safe spot. And again, that whole play was set up by the fact that I didn't have a ward down there. If I had had a ward, would have been very safe. Now, one thing that did happen was Terra Incognita did disconnect, unfortunately, our Ashe player, who is actually having a very nice game. You can see 2-0-2 with 112 minion kills. He's actually behind Graves in minion kills, but Graves, you know, 0-3 doesn't make up for 2-0. So anyway, our team is actually fighting over here. Looks like our team was trying to steal that blue, but wasn't able to, and Yaya actually gets finished off by Graves here. Now Cole needs to see if he can escape. Let's see if he's going to manage to get out of here. Udyr still has that red buff, still chasing. Looks like he's going to be okay, but that's still a lot of enemy champions down here. Now, I still have my teleport. I still am just up here last hitting. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm waiting to, I just want to sit up here last hitting and then teleport into this fight at an opportune moment. I want to continue getting those last hits. So now up to 312. So they go for our tower right here. And right now is when I should teleport in right now to try and save this tower, because we still have Yaya dead and Terra Incognita is still disconnected. So right now is when I should teleport into the tower. But I didn't realize quite how bad the situation was because our team didn't say anything to me, and I was kind of waiting for them to tell me when to teleport in. But I should have been watching the map better. So Cole gets finished off there, and now it's actually a 5-on-1 at this tower, so they're going to jump in, and they actually are going to get that tower. So I actually do use my teleport, and I actually jump in as the tower dies, but I make another mistake there. I click behind the tower, and I should have clicked on Xerath. All I had to do was wither him, and he was dead. Fortunately, though, Yaya has now revived, and we're going to get the slow right there. So Xerath is going to try to locus up, and Yaya's going to take that kill. Meanwhile, next we're going after Udyr, but he is Udyr, and he can pop his bear stance, so he's going to be able to run out of there, and we're not going to score that kill. So we were able to get Xerath, but that was still a bad play, and a mistake on my part. Like I said, should have teleported in a little bit sooner. I was just up in top lane farming, and I was sort of waiting for somebody to give me the call to teleport in. Nobody said anything, but like I said, I wasn't watching the lane closely enough, and I should have jumped in maybe about 10 to 15 seconds sooner, and I could have saved this tower. I could have saved this tower from falling, and I didn't do it. So that was, again, a mistake on my part, and definitely a suboptimal play. Okay, I was sitting on a lot of gold there, so what did I go back and buy? I picked up, turned the Philosopher's Stone into Shurelya's. The health regen, the mana regen, all really useful, and then the 15% cooldown reduction, just amazing on Nasus. Now notice I've almost maxed out cooldown reduction. I'm going to continue getting a little bit more each time I level up because I have the defensive tree masteries. And so that's all really good. And then notice I've also picked up a Sheen. So now that I have my cooldown reduction max, the next item I want is Trinity Force. Trinity Force, so good on Nasus, so good as an item. Sheen, always the one that you want first, because every time you get a last hit with your Siphoning Strike, you proc that Sheen, and I just deal a ton of damage. Now, interesting play here. I'm trying to get the tower. I only need one more Siphoning Strike, and I go forward to Siphoning Strike, but I've actually been silenced by Soraka, so I can't get off that last hit. And because I couldn't get that last hit off on the tower, I'm actually taking a lot of damage from the tower right there. I am going to pop my ult, and I am going to run out of here. So I'm actually okay just because I'm Nasus and I'm pretty tanky. But yeah, that silence, I would have killed the tower with my Siphoning Strike, but that silence actually proven to be a big issue. So what we're kind of doing, they're going to go for Dragon here. What we're doing is we're basically just stalling until Terra Incognita can reconnect to the game. We're hoping that he comes back, because if he doesn't, then we're kind of screwed, and there's not really a whole lot we can do. So I'm going to head back to top lane, going to head back up here to try to farm. Or actually, no, I'm going to go and ward right there. But we are going to get that tower, which was really low, and they take dragon. So unfortunately, we did have to give them that dragon. Now, Yaya getting chased. He's going to Shunpo to a minion and try to get away. Here comes comes their whole team 5. So I'm going to come down here from top. Speaker's going to come down here, and there comes Terra Incognita back again. So we're going to try to counter gank this and come in behind them right here. So here I come. I'm in behind the team. I'm going to toss down Spirit Fire, but it doesn't really hit anything. Here comes the Ash Arrow and from Fountain. Unfortunately, not hitting anything. But Speaker's going to use his grab on Xerath, and watch him just go down to me. And see right there, he's just going to melt almost immediately. And now I'm going to jump into the rest of the enemy team. Sona ult going out. Right now, I'm going to try to focus on Udyr. I want to try to finish him off right there. There's the Wither, and I'm going to finish him off again with Siphoning Strike. Now following after Yorick, he realizes he's not going to get away, turns around to try to kill Cole, and he's not going to do that. Now his Ghost is up, trying to chase after Cole. So I realize that this is the clone, but I'm just continuing to hit him because I want the clone to die ASAP. Meanwhile, Speaker is chasing after Soraka. Let's see if he's going to manage to chase that down. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to. No, actually, he's going to try to get the angle here on Graves because, again, they don't have a tower right here. It looks like he's going to back off and just steal their blue. So instead of trying to chase them down, I'm going to take their blue. So that fight went really well for us. We went 3 for... Wow, how did that end up there? We actually ended up going 3 for 1 in that fight. We lost Yaya, but we killed everybody else. We killed 3 members of their team. We killed Udyr, Yorick, and Xerath. So that fight went really well for us. And again, this is the value of Nasus when you can sit in top lane and just farm. If you notice, I was in the middle of the enemy team, just sitting there, and they really didn't damage me pretty much at all, in part because their team is pretty heavily physical. Udyr, Yorick, Graves, all physical damage for the most part. And with 151 armor, I just wasn't in that much danger. So anyway, again, just was able to run around in the middle of the enemy team, withering people. And yes, I maxed Wither second. You want to max Siphoning Strike first for the cooldown reduction, then go for Wither next. So I didn't actually manage to Wither Graves because he stayed in the back of that fight, but I was able to use it on Yorick, and I was able to use it on Udyr, and that definitely did shut them down quite a bit. Now, next item, I grabbed Phage. I want, again, the chance to slow, because, again, gives me a chance to, helps reduce the possibility of the enemy team kiting me, which is always the biggest weakness for Nasus. He has no ranged attack, so he's very susceptible to kiting. That's always his biggest weakness. So I've grabbed the Phage next, and going to be continuing to build towards Trinity Force, and that's going to be the next big item there. I also did grab 2 wards. Again, support player, just always in the habit of picking up wards when I can. And Siphoning Strike about the top 400 bonus damage, so pretty good stuff there. Now, their whole team is there. Speaker is meanwhile in bottom lane pushing, so we don't want to fight. Like, we don't want to fight this. It's 4v5, so we're not going to try to fight this. We just want to stall them for the moment and give Speaker a chance to continue pushing this lane. So we're just going to, hang around here. We have no towers to defend, so there's no need to worry about having to make a stand here to protect a tower or anything. So, just hang out here and allow Speaker to continue pushing this lane, and he's going to teleport back in time to get out of there. So I said, hey, I'm going to head to top lane. I've got teleport back up. I'm going to head to top lane, and we can bait Baron if we want to. Or actually, no, at this point in time, I was like, hey, they've got 3 people in bot. Let's go, let's go do this Baron. And if they don't have a ward here, we'll be able to do it. But they did have a ward there, so it looks like we're going to have to back. We are, in fact, going to have to back off because their team knows that we're doing this, and they're rushing everybody over. So kudos to their team for having the ward, having the clairvoyance. They knew we were going to do it. So otherwise, we could have possibly gotten a free Baron there due to them all going bottom lane to deal with Speaker's push. But because they had the ward, we had to back off. Ward and clairvoyance. So again, the value of map knowledge, really important. And it's why you buy those words, and it's why you have somebody take clairvoyance on your team. Anyway, so I'm going to sit in top. I'm going to try to do a split push here. I'm going to continue farming and pushing, and again, have my teleport up so I can jump. If they want to fight over here, I can jump into the fight. So you're going to try to do the same thing as before. And, just continue farming up my Siphoning Strike. So there we go, 414. That's a lot of damage because I proc Sheen every time I use it as well. Now, however, what happens next is we did have our ward here at Baron, so we're like, hey, their team disappeared. They're probably coming up to kill me. So, indeed, there they are. Here they come. We can see their team because, again, we have this ward, and they don't have an Oracle. So I was like, okay, I can't 1v5 their team. I'm pretty strong, but I'm not that strong. So I'm going to run down here, and here comes the rest of our team, everybody coming up to join them, and we're going to manage to get their team split. Notice how the team is really badly split. So Speaker's going to grab Xerath, and he is going to get bursted really badly. There comes the Katarina ult. Meanwhile, I'm engaging on Udyr, and he's going to try to run away, but there is the Wither on him right there, and now I'm going to use my ult. I'm going to slow him right there. Spirit Fire. Oh, and Yaya is going to kill steal me egregiously at the end of that fight. So we just went 2 for 0 there. And with Udyr, their jungler, dead, we're now going to be free to go and grab this Baron with really no contest from the other team. I mean, they can come in and try to fight us, but they'd have to do a steal with no smite, and that's kind of difficult. Also, by the way, Siphoning Strike, you get extra damage when you last hit anything with it, and I actually used it to kill that ward, so I got +3 damage for killing the ward, which is kind of funny. So Graves going to make a nice attempt at stealing that, but Speaker is going to hit the smite, and we're going to be able to take it. Really should have used my Shurelya's in that last fight too. I usually forget when I buy it on a non-support. And that's it. They're going to surrender. So final damage plus 426. Not able to charge it up further. But hey, if this game had gone on much longer, I definitely would have hit 500. And when you can do that much damage with Nasus, when you get that farmed, man, you're just unstoppable. So anyway, let's finish this and look at the stat screen. Here's the final screen at the end of the game. I did finish 3-0-5. I definitely could have had some more kills in that game. I mentioned how I missed some of them in top lane. I also ended up with some assists where I actually did most of the killing, such as at the end of the game, but not that big a deal. Yaya did manage to take a couple of kills where he and I basically hit somebody at the last instant, and he was able to get the kill. But no big deal. It's certainly not a problem having a farmed Katarina any more than having a farmed Nasus, and I was only going to get stronger as this game went on. A relatively short game here, only 27 minutes, and yet I still topped 400 damage on my Siphoning Strike. If we had actually done like a super long game, you know, like a 40 or 50-minute game, I could have been at, 600, 700 damage on my Siphoning Strike, and I didn't even manage to finish Trinity Force. So again, just feel like Nasus really strong if you get the right matchup in top lane, which I'll say more about in a minute. As far as the rest of the team, Terror and Cole did a nice job in bottom lane. Terror finishing with the clean sheet 3-0-3. Was out-farmed by Graves, but he did manage to get those kills, so nicely done there. And then Yaya really shut down Xerath in middle lane. If you look at the farm, 139 minion kills to 86. For whatever reason, I feel like Xerath beats Katarina in mid, but for whatever reason, Yaya just really crushed that Xerath player and just was dominant in middle lane, so nicely done there. And then Speaker, who said after the game couldn't buy a kill, but nonetheless was really key as Skarner. He had some nice ganks in middle lane. I didn't really show that in this video, but he had some nice ganks in middle lane. And if you watch that last fight, used his flash, used his kidnap, just grabbed Xerath, dragged him into the middle of our team, and just completely took him out of the fight. So some nice plays there. Anyways, I said at the start of the video, this is a video about counterpicking a lane. So Nasus, a great counterpick to Yorick, as I talked about throughout the video, just really shuts down Yorick in lane. It's just for whatever reason, well, not for whatever reason, I went through the reasons why he does, but just is a great counter to Yorick. So Nasus needs the right matchup in top lane. Nasus gets absolutely destroyed by a lot of ranged champions because he has no range. For instance, if you send Vayne top lane against Nasus, she will just absolutely destroy him. He won't be able to farm. She'll just be dodging all over the place, doing her true damage, and Nasus will get completely shut down. But hey, if you can get the right matchup, then Nasus is just amazingly strong. And I think that he's actually sort of secretly overpowered, and not many people know about him, just because most teams run a tanky bruiser champion in top lane, and Nasus does pretty well against that. Against most sort of bruiser champs, he does quite well. So if you can just sit in top lane and keep farming, for the first 20 minutes, take teleport, just use your teleport to get into key fights at Dragon or whatever, and then split push later on. If you can do that, he is really, really strong in top lane. So I encourage you to try that if you see the other team picking sort of a tanky physical damage champion. Nasus tends to do very well against them. So anyway, just giving an example in a video here of counterpicking a lane and how that can really work to your advantage if you can get that right. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I was away during much of the Thanksgiving break, so should be back now and should be able to put some more stuff up. So until later, take care guys, I'll see you soon.